Greetings, everyone, and thank you for joining us. This is the second in our series of committee conversations. And tonight we are joined by Sheriff Clarence Birkhead, who is running for his second term. And so I want to give a welcome to Sheriff Birkhead. Thank you for joining us. And just open the floor. So what I'd like to ask everyone is share something about yourself that we might not know, something that you wouldn't read about, but giving people an opportunity to know you a little bit deeper.
Oh, wow. Talk about putting the sheriff on the spot. Good evening to you, and good evening to the members of Durham Committee on the Affairs of Black People. I am truly honored to be with you this evening. Looking forward to our conversation. Wow, a little bit that you may not read about me. Well, I used to collect shot glasses, and I don't think you'll ever read that. I actually have collected two things over my life, and shot glasses was one of them. And then the other was matches, which are almost obsolete. And I'm happy to say that I've collected matches from all over the world. Some of my Army buddies would bring me matches back from Kosovo and Germany, London and Canada. So I used to have, and I still have quite a few of them. I tucked them away in my humidor, but matches, matchbooks, and shot glasses I used to collect. So you never read that anywhere.
Well, thank you. Appreciate that. I know in your preparation for tonight, you had a PowerPoint to give us an overview of what exactly your office does. I want to give you an opportunity to share that with us now.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me cue that up. It's very high level, so I want to save time for conversation.
I believe froze.
Okay. Tia, would you like for me to begin?
Please.
Okay. Well, I am Clarence Birkhead, your sheriff, having served my first term, well, almost a full term, 3 years, and running for re-election here in the upcoming November election. So very excited about this opportunity, and just want to share some highlights with you of some things that we have accomplished in my first term as your sheriff. It's always a priority for a law enforcement agency to address crime, and I've taken sort of a multi-pronged approach to addressing crime. One of the things that we've done is we've had a targeted enforcement effort. And what that means is we're not just out trying to arrest anyone and everyone. We have a philosophy, and you'll see this a little bit further into the PowerPoint, that encouragement, it's education, encouragement, and enforcement. That's our three-pronged approach to law enforcement as it relates to how we try to educate people about what the law is and what they should be doing, and in our training. Did I lose everyone?
You're here, but the PowerPoint went away. I'm going to suggest maybe go off camera while you share the PowerPoint. That might.
Okay.
And we do not see your share screen.
Share screen is, there we go. There we go. How about now? Okay,
It's
can you hear
working
me?
now. Yes.
Okay, targeted enforcement. One of the things we focused on throughout this first term is being very focused on addressing violent crime. And it goes without saying that we in Durham are experiencing unprecedented violent crime. The numbers are slightly down from this time last year, but they're still way too high as it relates to gun violence and shootings and the number of people being shot and the number of homicides related to gun violence. So we take a targeted approach to identify those individuals, build cases on them, hopefully apprehend them, and prepare for a successful prosecution through the DA's office. We also want to spend some time addressing some of the root causes of crime. So we have a number of programs that we use to provide opportunities to young men and women who are seeking jobs, who want to further their education. I've actually hired a couple of men to work for me who were formerly criminal justice involved and incarcerated. Now they're doing peer support. So we want to give opportunities back into the community and to help those who really want to change their ways or get out of a life of crime to do so. And we've spent a lot of time, and we'll continue to do this, rebuilding trust in law enforcement. We know that law enforcement has taken a significant hit over the past several years, certainly since the tragic murder of George Floyd. And we spend a lot of time rebuilding that relationship, reestablishing trust, ensuring that transparency, engagement, and accountability is at the forefront. You know, I ran on this in 2018, and we will continue to strive to be as transparent as possible, engage the community on every front, particularly where they are. Don't expect people to come to the courthouse to see me and then hold ourselves accountable as you hold us accountable. And we've had a remarkable run through COVID. There we go. And what I mean by remarkable run, we were very fortunate that we jumped on our COVID mitigation strategies very early and were able to keep COVID at bay as much as possible. You all may recall that I made the vaccine mandatory as soon as it was available. And I'm proud to say that we had about 90% compliance with that. And there were some exceptions for medical issues, and people could have a bona fide exception to why they should not take the vaccine. We honored that, and most of it was medical, but some of it was religious beliefs as well. Part of rebuilding trust in law enforcement is some of the work I'm doing at the state level, as well as here in Durham. I've been appointed to serve on the racial equity task force by Governor Cooper, and a lot of the work that we've done there, as well as in the North Carolina Sheriff's Association, the Law Enforcement Professionalism Board, I was appointed to serve on, led to the passage of Senate Bill 300, which really has been referred to as the Criminal Justice Reform Bill. And it really covers a full range of what I believe are necessary changes to the way we do law enforcement, such as reporting of giglio or officers who are dishonest, the quicker release of body cam footage, and many banning chokeholds and things like that. And most recently, Governor Cooper appointed me to my second statewide position, serving on the Governor's Crime Commission, and more specifically, they assigned me to the Criminal Justice Improvement Committee, which is critical because it really focused on how we move forward in the law enforcement spectrum on both sides, as a deputy sheriff and as a police officer, so it's county and municipal influence. So I'm having an opportunity to help shape the way law enforcement moves forward. And some of the work that I've done with the Progressive Caucus here in North Carolina led to a committee I served on being nominated for a Nobel Peace Prize. Very proud of that. I can add that to my resume. And you feel free to share it with your friends and family that your sheriff here in Durham County was actually in the top 10 individuals as a committee who was considered for a Nobel Prize for the work that we are doing in the criminal justice reform space. As you know, the sheriff's office has jurisdiction all over the county. That's both inside of the city limits and the unincorporated areas of the county, which is approximately 250 square miles. Population of nearly 320 plus thousand people collectively. We lead the investigations in the unincorporated area, while DPD is the primary responding unit inside the city limits. It's important to note here that DPD and the Durham County Sheriff's Office work very closely together on a lot of cases, not just crime enforcement, but traffic enforcement. We share intelligence between our organizations. Some of the same individuals that they are trying to identify for being involved in crimes, we are trying to identify those individuals as well. And almost 85% of what the sheriff's office does in totality occurs inside the city limits. The first thing you think about is I manage the jail. That's one of my constitutional duties, is to be the custodian for those who are incarcerated in the facility. They are in care, my care and custody. Also courthouse security, judges, civil process, and the list goes on and on. So we do all of that inside and outside the city limits. I spoke about targeted enforcement a moment ago. I've created the Sheriff's Targeted Enforcement Team, and that's for me to respond and my deputies to respond to issues that get reported to us from the citizens, from the public. If you're having a problem or there's an area that we need to focus on, you just let us know, call the sheriff's office, and we will set up, whether it's traffic enforcement or criminal enforcement, criminal investigation. We serve high-risk warrants, and we certainly look out for areas that are experiencing spikes in crime. We also have a strike team. The strike team is a collaboration between Durham County, Orange County, Alamance County, and Gifford counties, because historically the I-85 and the 40 corridor have been pathways and traffic alleys for guns, drugs, human trafficking. And so we share resources and intelligence with those other sheriff's offices up and down the 85 corridor. I have deputies assigned to all the federal task force, as you can see listed there. Great relationship with our U.S. Attorney's Office here in the Middle District, and with the deputies serving on the task force. Again, we get to work with the federal agencies, and we share intelligence with them, and they conversely share it with us. And we have mutual aid agreements because of our canines working out at RDU, or our Swiftwater Rescue, which is a nationally accredited Swiftwater Rescue team. Our bomb team is nationally accredited, one of the few agencies up and down the East Coast. So we are subject to be called if there's a crisis, not just here in Durham, but beyond. And you may recall that we just recently celebrated, or had a very successful, I say it's a celebration, our second gun buyback. And despite some of the concerns about the gun buyback not being successful, we have collected over 400 guns that were voluntarily surrendered to us. Those 400 guns will eventually be destroyed and will not have an opportunity to end up on our streets here in Durham. I think that is something to be celebrated. As I mentioned a moment ago, gun violence is on the rise, but these 400 guns will not make it to the streets and into the hands of those who are destined to do wrong. We've been awarded a grant through the Governor's Highway Safety Program for traffic enforcement. Unfortunately, Durham County, as you can see there, ranks pretty high when compared to other jurisdictions across all 100 counties in fatalities, speeding, alcohol fatalities, not wearing your seatbelt. And we want to do a good job once again to educate, encourage, and then enforce the laws of keeping our roads safe. Very concerned about distracted driving. You'd be surprised how many times I see people driving down with the phone in one hand, their coffee in the other hand, and I'm trying to figure out who's driving the car down our busy streets. So we do a lot of traffic enforcement. And yes, in case you're wondering, the deputies of the Durham County Sheriff's Office can write citations inside the city limits. I actually got that question last year. You know, a gentleman asked me, did we have that authority? And I'm like, yes, we do. I mentioned COVID protocols. We've all battled this pandemic now for 3 years. I'm really excited about the work that we've done in the jail, in our detention center. We never closed. We did not have a single case, as you could see there, until August of 2020. We immediately jumped on our mitigation strategies, trying to keep the detention center, which is a congregate setting, about 365 or so individuals reside there on a daily basis, and we want to make sure that we keep them safe. And we did a phenomenal job, the men and women who come to work in the detention center, accomplishing that. Some other quick accomplishments in my first term. We reformed and sort of revamped our school resource officer program, working with Dr. Mabinga. I think we have a model program with our SROs in our schools. We really want to expand that in my second term moving forward, trying to reach our kids in elementary school. There's a push across the state for funding to have SROs in our elementary schools so we can start building those relationships earlier. And unfortunately, we're seeing our offenders are becoming younger and younger. So I think it's a good move if we can start establishing those positive relationships early on. 24/7 health, mental health care inside the detention center, both men and women. Those resources are available around the clock. And we do programming, group therapy, and just a host of things to address mental health. Body-worn camera system, for the first time ever, has been deployed at the Durham County Sheriff's Office. We've integrated it with our dash cameras. And phase 2, right now we're in phase 1. Phase 2, we will have a 1-to-1. So that means every deputy and every detention officer will have a body camera. We just purchased the newest taser equipment. As you know, taser is a less lethal or a non-lethal use of force, a piece of equipment that we use, and we bought the latest and the greatest model because it's color coded, and very light, so it does not feel anything like a handgun. And we've seen tragedies like this play out across the country where an officer drew their service weapon thinking it was a taser. The new model hopefully will go a long way to avoiding those type of tragedies. We've implemented fair and impartial police training, bias-based police training as well. All deputies and detention officers will have an opportunity to go through that training in the coming months. And right now we're about 50–60% done with that. Domestic violence protective orders, we were falling woefully short prior to me coming in serving those orders. And we went from 4% to 89%. We were recognized by the administrative office of the courts for doing such a great job of serving these protective orders. And again, our policies are now being used as a model across the state. And we continue to improve our community relationships, particularly in our Latinx and Hispanic communities, as all of our communities, and just, again, trying to rebuild those relationships. The detention center, just real quick, like I said, we're a full service law enforcement agency, but we also are responsible for those areas that you see listed on the screen there that you may not have been aware of. All of these functions are responsibility of the Sheriff's Office. I mentioned the SROs, court security, IVC transports, handgun and concealed carry permits. All of those are my responsibility as your sheriff. What's next? We have a great relationship we've established and even broader relationship, I should say, because we now occupy space at the North Campus of Durham Tech. I moved my training facility there. They were gracious enough to give us the entire wing of the North Campus. We've got the left side, so that if you're looking at the campus, it'll be on the right. But we now have our training academy out there. We can run simultaneous academies. We're about to start one with the largest number of deputies that we've started since I've been here, which will be 20 cadets. And that's a good sign because we are seeing the applications increase a bit. Also, that partnership allows us to do the GED program in the detention center. We're developing programs for job skills or vocational training, trade certificates. We tested and graduated 2 individuals over the past couple of years who were college ready. Unfortunately, they were incarcerated, but once they get out, they will be ready to go to college if they so choose, and we encourage them to do so. One of the proudest moments I've had as your sheriff is being able to speak at the graduation of those individuals and see the look on their face as well as their family when they receive their diploma. We're expanding our peer support program. As I mentioned a moment ago, we've hired 2 additional individuals to help us with outreach, and you'll see them moving around the city and the county with us. And we're working to create a larger footprint in the county, particularly in the RTP area, which is, as you know, growing rapidly. So we're in conversation with them right now to develop a sheriff's office annex that will service the RTP area. That with the projected growth there, I think Chairman Jones is about 50,000 people between now and 2026. So the sheriff's office wants to keep pace with that growth. Here's a list of upcoming events. I really would like to encourage you, Tia, to share September 19th and 26th. On the 19th, we will be at Jordan High School. We'll have our school safety summit in conjunction with Durham Public Schools. And on the 26th, we will be at Southern High School. Both start times are scheduled for 5:30. This is an opportunity to talk about school safety with the sheriff's office and with the security division of DPS. Talk about how we respond to active assailant or active shooters, how we respond to threats, whether it be a bomb threat or a social media threat. And we actually had one earlier this week at one of our schools, and we were able to jump on that and identify a potential suspect because the school was shut down, and they were afraid to send their kids. Parents were afraid to send their kids to school because this threat went viral, and fortunate someone called us and we worked with them. So let's talk about school safety at the summit. And then we're having a series of the Sheriff Speaks, and we're at all of our libraries. And September 27th, I will be at the main library beginning at 5:30, and we will talk about domestic violence. And I'll have a couple of panelists joining me there. And then finally, on September 24th, there's a community meet and greet on Avondale Road at 1418 Avondale Road from 10 to 2. So please come out and enjoy the festivities there. And if you want to get in touch with us, my email is at the bottom there, Sheriff Birkhead Durham at gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you. If you have any upcoming events, we'd love to attend. Please email those to us. Thank you, Tia, and I have stopped sharing my screen.
Thank you so much. Oh, great. Now we can see you again. Well, first, I'd like to say that was quite thorough. It touched on several of my questions, so forgive if we go back and repeat. But most pressing, I wanted to talk a little bit about gun violence. And I'm very happy and hopeful to see that there will be school conversations. Just thinking about the concerns that many parents have around safety at the schools. Can you give us a little preview about that conversation?
Absolutely. We are all very concerned about what we're seeing across the country as it relates to incidents occurring at our school. So I think the first thing we want to do is have the conversation. We want to talk about how do we keep our in educational environment safe? How do we keep our kids safe? And what are the roles and responsibilities of those who work in the schools, teachers, faculty, and staff? What are the roles of the students? And certainly what are the roles of law enforcement, SROs, other first responders, fire department? So we're currently in training with our EMS department. Elizabeth Schroeder is working with us to sort of revamp and reimagine our first responder protocols as it relates to active shooter training. And in that meeting, or in that group of individuals, it's myself and my command staff from the sheriff's office, leadership of the fire department, leadership of the Durham Police Department, and EMS, because we all want to respond together and be on the same page. And this effort came out of the tragedy at Uvalde. And we said we can never have a Uvalde in Durham. We just cannot have that breakdown in communication, really not understanding the role of those individuals that I just laid out for you. So we are training, we're doing tabletops, we're coming out with a video in the next few weeks that will be shared widely. And now we're having conversations about what we do and how we can keep our schools safe.
And you talked about the great relationship that you have with Dr. Mbenga. So do you feel that school staff are also properly prepared for how to engage with your office?
No, great question. I will say it's always a work in progress. As you know, DPS has a very large staff, a vast staff, but we meet with them on a regular basis. We have training and meetings and conversations prior to the school year, and we will do the same thing in mid-year. And let me just say that the communication between our office, our agency, and DPS is always open, and it's regular. And DPS just hired a new director of security. The previous director retired after a wonderful career there. So we're looking forward to partnering with the new director of security on how, again, just making sure our educational environment stays safe. The SROs are there to assist and to be a true resource to our students. That's our role. We don't get into the heavy hand discipline. Certainly don't enforce school policy, but unfortunately from time to time there are violations of law that occur in our schools, and so we're there to certainly address that. But at the end of the day, we want everyone to feel safe and confident in what we do to keep our kids safe.
Thank you. Another piece, thinking of schools, but this is even broader, the role of mental health and the breakdown in mental health. And so I saw you mention that. If you could just talk a little bit about how your department is prepared to deal with mental health issues, and what resources or other parts of Durham County do you work with to assure that the response is one that is healthy for everyone concerned?
No, unfortunately, our mental health system is just not where it should be. We know several years back, I don't know whether it was politics or funding, our mental health system was eviscerated. And so it really left it at the state level. So it really left it up to the individual counties to sort of pick up the charge to make sure that those services are available for those who are battling mental health issues, as well as addiction issues. So at the Durham County Sheriff's Office, we have long been partners with Alliance Behavioral Health. We partner with them. We are members of NAMI, National Association on Mental Health. And we send, right now, we're looking at about 70% of our staff across the entire organization, which is when we're fully staffed, is nearly 500 individuals, 490, I think it's 490 FTEs. we want to make sure that they all are trained in crisis intervention so that they can recognize when an individual is having an episode, a cognitive episode or a mental health episode, and treat them the way they need to be treated and get them to the services and the resources that they need. And that doesn't mean incarceration. That doesn't mean making an arrest. So the deputies are able to use their discretion if they recognize the signs that someone is experiencing a mental health episode. So they're trained. And we do the same in the detention center. Inside the facility, as I mentioned a moment ago, we offer 24/7 mental health services. We have a partnership with the Criminal Justice Resource Center here in Durham, Alliance Behavioral Health as well. And we offer mental health classes and group sessions in our female pod, as well as our male pod. Our male population is considerably higher than our female population, so we do more one-on-one with our male population than we do our female, just because of sheer size. And we have a great relationship with Duke University and the new Duke Regional Behavioral Health Center. And so when we have to serve an IBC, we know we can go out to that facility, which is a state-of-the-art facility. And I'm sure they could use more beds, because just last week they were at capacity. But we work with them to make sure that the individuals we encounter out on the city streets and in the county can make it to the behavioral health center there at Duke, instead of going to the detention center and being incarcerated. We really want to treat mental health like you should. It's an illness and it doesn't warrant someone being arrested. So we're not trying to criminalize mental health, and that's through training, recognition, more training, and then having these partnerships in place.
I'm sorry, I was on mute. Another thing that you mentioned were your cadets. So congratulations on the 20 cadets. I wonder if you could talk about what is being done to hopefully encourage them to sign on with Durham County Sheriff's Department. We don't want to train up people and have them go elsewhere. No,
that's an excellent point. And I'm actually working on a contract that will hopefully further incentivize them to stay with the Durham County Sheriff's Office. We've worked really hard to get our salaries up to a more competitive area with our smaller jurisdictions. I'm sad to say the jurisdictions around us are much smaller. We're like the 5th largest in the state of North Carolina. So when you think about Vance County, Orange County, Alamance County, Granville, actually paying a bit more, quite a bit more than we were paying our deputies and detention officers here. So we've worked really hard with our Board of County Commissioners to increase those salaries, to make them more competitive. We have a sign-on bonus program. So let me go ahead and give you my pitch. If you want to come to work for the Durham County Sheriff's Office, we have a $6,000 sign-on bonus. We run our own academies, both Law Enforcement Academy as well as our Department of Corrections Academy, or our BDOT Academy, Detention Officer Training Academy. We run those at Durham Tech. And the moment you sign on, you are a member of the agency, so you're on payroll and you start receiving check and benefits while you go through the academy. And so if you have a degree, you have a pay increase for your degree. So we have incentives for education, experience, life training, life skills, and where I'm able to really sort of bump up the salaries for someone coming in and going through one of our academies. And then it just opens the door. As you saw in the PowerPoint, there's so many things that you can do at the Durham County Sheriff's Office. If you don't want to work on the street as a deputy, you certainly can work in the detention center and sharpen your skills and interpersonal skills working in the detention center, or you work in civil or investigations, forensic. We have our own criminal investigators on for crime scene response. And then I mentioned the more glamorous special teams that we have. We certainly have SWAT, or ERT as we refer to it, but we have bomb team, bomb techs go to federal facilities all across the country to train. We have swiftwater rescue teams. We have search and rescue teams that do field searches. So when you talk about a career in law enforcement, we want people to really strongly consider coming to work for the Durham County Sheriff's Office. I think Durham is one of the greatest cities in North Carolina, and we want the Durham County Sheriff's Office to attract, hire, and retain the greatest individuals to work with us here at our Sheriff's Office.
Thank you for that. And also, again, congratulations on being part of the team for the nomination for the Nobel Peace Prize.
Thank you.
So again, folks, if you want to work for a top line sheriff's department, here is your opportunity.
Yeah. Thank you for that. That really came out of nowhere, and several members of my staff got quite upset with me because I kept it quiet for so long. Because you don't want to say, hey, I'm up for a Nobel Prize, and then, well, we didn't get it. We were in the top 10. But it truly, truly was an honor, and it is an honor to be part of the Progressive Caucus group in North Carolina that worked on it. I served on it as their law enforcement expert, really talking about some hard conversations about criminal justice reform, not criminalizing poverty, really sort of taking a look at how there's inequities in the laws that are enforced across this wide spectrum that we call criminal justice. And so we had some really strong conversations. We submitted our findings and our ideas and our solutions and what things that we think can make a difference, and to have it recognized by the first nominated by a professor who took notice of our work was an honor, but then to have it recognized and reviewed by the Nobel Prize Committee certainly is an honor, and it just demonstrates that we are really trying to position ourselves with and align ourselves with individuals who care about humanity and who really care about criminal justice reform. And there's a big difference. I'll say this, and I'll let you ask your next question. Big difference between criminal justice reform and defund. One of the worst things that happened to law enforcement, in my humble opinion, my personal opinion, is the defund movement. And now we're starting to see the pendulum come back the other way, where we can have a conversation about reform, meaningful reform, raising the professionalism of law enforcement. As I mentioned in my PowerPoint, serving on the task force, being appointed by the governor, working alongside our Attorney General and Anita Earls, Justice of the Supreme Court. And again, just digging deep at policies and procedures and behavior and accountability of law enforcement, I think is truly, we're really making a groundswell across the state, and hopefully that leads to better law enforcement, better relationships with our community. So that's the work that we're doing here in Durham.
Wonderful. Another question, just you speaking about relationships across the state, talk a little bit about your relationship with community. We have appreciated the level of accessibility that you have offered to the committee, but just give people an opportunity to hear more about your outreach, people to people here in Durham.
Sure. One of the first things I did shortly after being elected in 2018 was form the first ever sheriffs, and first ever in the state of North Carolina, the Sheriff's Community Advisory Board. And that's a collection of 25 individuals from all across Durham County. We are about to do our second invitation, so we'll be putting out notices for anyone who wants to serve on that board to submit their application. But the Community Advisory Board, we meet quarterly and we talk about issues of concern to the citizenry. What's going on in your community? What are you hearing or what are you experiencing? And it really helps me sort of expand my visibility. And what I mean by visibility, because I can't be at all places all times. So I want to hear from the community. And we talk about a number of issues. Clearly, COVID dominated the conversation very early on in 2020. In 2019, it was criminal justice reform and accountability, and how are we responding to George Floyd, and really talking about transparency. And we've talked about some of those conversations led to the body cameras that we were talking about. So we shared that conversation with them, and now we have body cameras. And again, getting buy-in and hearing ideas and suggestions from the Community Advisory Board has been very helpful in shaping the narrative and shaping the narrative in the public, because I give them information and they take it right back to the community, but also shaping the direction of the Durham County Sheriff's Office and helping me make some decisions that are going to benefit the community because I'm hearing straight from the community. So again, we're going to open up the application process in the coming months, look for new 25 people to serve on that board.
Thank you. So also thinking about building relationship and trust with community. And sometimes people don't reach out for different services or help out of fear. You talked a little bit about domestic violence and how, well, I'm thinking of just how tenuous that could be. How are your officers, trained to deal with that and build trust so that people can feel safe to access the sheriff's department in such an event?
Absolutely. We have a domestic violence unit that really focuses on these cases of domestic violence, and the focus being on the victim. Again, it's having relationships in the court system and out in the community where we can get those who need emergency housing or shelter, or who need to be removed from an abusive setting. And certainly going in and conducting the high-level investigation as it relates to domestic violence. And of course, if we find that there, in fact, is a lot going on there, and then of course we bring that individual who's the aggressor, bring them to justice, bring them to the magistrate's office, courthouse, and really, then we really advocate for the victim and assist them in getting the help that they need to get out of the very dangerous and abusive situation. But again, we have a fantastic set of detectives who are trained to focus on domestic violence and work those cases, being fair to both sides, but being able to recognize that when the situation needs to be changed and there's something needs to take place as it relates to domestic violence. You can call us. We have an anonymous tip line or an anonymous line that you can call. We have a great relationship with the Durham Crisis Center, Women's Shelter, Women's Center. We, again, about developing those relationships, so when someone calls us that is in crisis, male or female, we're able to assist them not only in a criminal investigative manner, but in getting them placement and the assistance they need so they can start putting the pieces of their life back together.
For a moment in the news, we heard about calls to 911 that we were not able to deal with here in Durham, so they were rerouted to Wake County. and I apologize, I didn't do my homework to find out if that comes under your purview, but how has that impacted your office? Has your office been part of rectifying that so that people feel a bit more confident in those calls?
Well, the first thing, the Durham Emergency 911 Center does not fall under the authority of the Office of the Sheriff. That is a branch of city government, but we certainly work with Randy and his team, and they are experiencing the employee shortages just like all of us are. And so I know they went through a period of time where they have some staffing issues, and some calls were routed to the Wake County Emergency Call Center. And I've heard and talked to citizens that during that time it experienced some delay. At the sheriff's office, I operate my own 911 center. And so when you call 560-0900, you get the Durham County Sheriff's Office 911 Center. Really happy to say right now we are fully staffed. We have great men and women who man those consoles. They do the exact same thing that the telecommunicators at the Durham Emergency 911 Center do. They just do it for the sheriff's office or for the county residents. And we are able and capable to serve as a backup center for Durham if necessary. And so I've been in some of the conversations with Randy and his management team about being a backup center, and hopefully we can work out some of the details that will reduce that lag in response, so we don't have to rely on Wake County or another outside jurisdiction, that we'll be able to keep it all in-house. So we're in those conversations. We're not there yet. We need to do some training and some technology upfits on our end, but I'm confident that we'll be ready to assist them if they ever need us, if the situation ever presents itself again.
Thank you. We are almost near the end of our hour. That went quickly.
It did. Wow.
But I'd like to know, what have you observed in your first term that perhaps you did not get to address that you would like to make a focus in your second term?
No, that's a great question. I tell you, we really have accomplished a lot. I didn't mention the fact that we are a Triple Crown agency. And what that means is we are accredited as a law enforcement agency through CALEA, nationally accredited. Our detention center is accredited through the Association of Correction, National Association of Correctional Facilities. And that's the first time ever that we've been, our jail and our detention center has been nationally accredited. And we achieved that accreditation last year in 2021, and we're very proud of that. And then the infirmary, or our medical center that we operate inside the detention center, is also nationally accredited. We are one of 4 sheriff's offices in the state of North Carolina. We were number 3. Mecklenburg has recently achieved Triple Crown. So we're one of 4 agencies in the state of North Carolina out of all 100 sheriff's offices to have the Triple Crown accreditation. And really excited to say that we are one of 29 in the country to hold that distinction. So we want to continue to build on those successes to further improve the conditions in the detention center, to offer more programming in the detention center that is designed to reduce recidivism and give those men and women an opportunity to better themselves when they leave the facility. As I mentioned with Durham Tech and some of the training that we're doing, we currently offer 28 different programs inside the detention center, purely designed to help men and women get their lives on track and again reduce that recidivism rate. So we want to continue to build on those successes, and really we have to do more to address the gun violence. So furthering my relationship with Durham Police Department, sharing the resources, and really trying to get a handle on the gun violence. far too many young Black young men and women are dying at the hands of these guns, these shootings. So I really want to do everything I can possibly do to address that alongside Chief Andrews and the Durham Police Department, but also with my partners at the federal level. We are positioning ourselves to bring back Project Safe Neighborhood.
You just froze a little bit. Sheriff Birkhead, just 1 second, you're freezing a bit, so we want to.
Used to do Project Safe Neighborhood, which is
If you could try that once more, it slowed down. Can you hear me? Uh-oh.
How about now?
Yes,
Tia, you're frozen. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Oh, boy.
Okay, great. The last thing I'll say is Project Safe Neighborhood. We're bringing Project Safe Neighborhood, and that's an opportunity to really help. And so we'll have resources partnered with our faith organizations. So stay tuned. I'll give you more on that later. Okay.
Okay. Thank you. Really have enjoyed this conversation. So much in the way of working to help keep our community safe. Appreciate also the conversations where you're looking at, like you said, safety has many layers to it. And just your wholeness, even through a racial equity lens, all of those ways in which you are being vigilant. As we wrap up, is there any lasting thoughts that you would like to share with us?
Well, again, just thank you for this opportunity to have a conversation with you and the members of the Durham Committee. I think we've had a very good first term, in spite of the issues that we've already talked about, whether it be COVID or the defund movement, and now the reform movement, and battling some economic downturns, but now hopefully we're on the upswing. So I'm really excited about a second term. Thank you so much for your endorsement and your support for my re-election. I just simply think there's more work to be done. And I am positioning the Durham County Sheriff's Office and the men and women who come to work there every day to do the great work of serving this community. So I would be honored to have a second term as your sheriff. So I humbly, again, ask you for your vote. And I thank you for your endorsements. I'm looking forward to continuing serving my home, Durham County.
All right, well, we absolutely appreciate the time today. We will share out that information about the upcoming meetings. And please know that Durham Committee on the Affairs of Black People stand with you. We hold you in our hearts, okay?
Thank you.
So have a great evening, and we'll be in touch soon. And make sure that all of our community know about your upcoming events. Have a good night.
Thank you so very much. Thank you so very much. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night. Thank you.